Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Kayla Sierra, hosted by yours truly. If you're new to my channel, it's nice to meet you, and if you're family, how's it going? Today's video, I thought I'd switch it up a bit. I'm still in the middle of reading on my books and have kind of been going through another reading slump. I'm not liking this reading slump, y'all. I really thought it was going to be left in February, but it's found its way into March. I'm currently reading Blood Marked by Tracy Dion. I know I kind of talked about that in the last video, and I don't know what it is. I am a good bit into the book, and it's sitting right next to my bed. I look at it every day, and for some reason, I just haven't been able to pick it up the past couple days. I don't know what's going on. I have some new books on their way to me, and I really want to read them. So maybe I just kind of have to read them while I'm reading Bloodmark, just because it is a thicker book, and it's been a while, at least since, I think, Onyx Storm, since I read a thicker book. So yeah, guys, please pray for me, because this reading slump is not it. Because I'm in the process of still reading my books, I figured today would be the greatest opportunity to give you guys a writing update on all of my projects coming out. And I'm actually super excited to share this side of myself with you guys. It's something that I really don't speak about too much. I talk about it mostly with my writing friends. My dear friend Maria, who I went to Full Sail with, and we were in the creative writing program together, she's kind of like my main confidant when it comes to writing. We talk about like what we might be working on and just writing in general, because maybe it's hard. It's fulfilling, but it's hard. So I normally don't, like I said, share anything that I'm really working on, or I kind of give minute details, and normally people don't really ask for a lot of details. They just, oh, like, how's your writing going? I'm like, oh, it's good. And then that's where we leave it at. But I really wanted to express how much writing really means to me. There's no other word for me to say but excited, just because these have all kind of been passion projects of mine. And those three projects are my feature film, my novel, and my poetry book. First up is going to be the thriller feature film. A little bit of backstory on this story. Get it? I came up with the concept of this film during my writing workshop film class at Full Sail. This was just one of the 3 log lines that I had submitted for that class, and ultimately we decided for me to write about that. And it started off as a 10-page short film. That's what it was for the class, and now it has grown into, I believe, almost 30 pages. I know that might not sound like a lot, but it's a lot. Coming from where I started and everything that was happening in the story back then, and that was, what, last year, January, kind of February-ish. I think that was January when I took that class, and now it's almost 30 pages. It's great to me. It might not seem like a lot of progress to y'all, but it's progress for me, and it's everything that I would want in a thriller. I know it's not a secret anymore. I love thrillers down. I love mysteries, and something that I really want to emphasize about this screenplay is female rage is real, and it's not she's throwing stuff around and she's crying, drinking, slashing tires and stuff. No. I love that female rage that's quiet, calculating, and you're never gonna know until it hits sort of female rage. That's the kind of female rage that eats down to me, and I love seeing it portrayed in films. I like the crashing out now. Don't get me wrong. Crashing out is so valid. But for me, and what my female character is going through in this story, she's more of the calculating side of it. After that class, I kind of played around with writing a bit more scenes for the film. I didn't necessarily see myself actually turning it into a feature film. I knew I liked the stories, I loved my characters and everything, but it was a class assignment, and I thought that's what all it was going to be, until couple months later down the line in one of my portfolio classes, I decided to create a storyboard for the screenplay and keep writing more scenes for it. That really just propelled me and said, this is about to be a feature film. I wrote out a bunch of more scenes that I need to have, because during my time at Full Sail 2, especially after being in that film class, I started reading more scripts of TV shows and movies that I really enjoy and I love. And that helped me understand more about the script writing process and everything that goes into it and how you're supposed to write a script. I also currently work as a screenplay reader for a festival, so that's been pretty exciting and kind of getting me into reading like different genres of scripts and everything like that. But back to me. I've just fallen in love with script writing. It's probably right now my favorite form of writing, besides writing my novel and of course poetry. Right now it's my favorite. I plan for the screenplay to be around 120 pages long. That's kind of like the formula for how long a screenplay is supposed to be. And so like I said, I'm close to 30, but I'm not there yet. So I've still got a ways to go until I get to my goal. The name of my screenplay is called The Things You Do for Love. So there is a bit of a romance element, but this is very much the darker side of romance. Kind of like how I touched in the last video. This doesn't necessarily deal with violence towards the partner, but it does touch on the emotional and physical stress of being in a relationship, what love takes and gives from us, and what a person will do to be in love, to have love, and to keep their love. There are extreme lengths that people go through, and I am definitely exploring those lengths. I want this to be not a whirlwind movie, but I want it to be a truthful movie about a woman who has truly been brought up to be the perfect woman, the perfect wife, in every sense of the word. She has this perfect marriage. Her life is perfect. I can't say perfect enough. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And when her life starts to crack and the flaws start to slowly show because of actions not hers but other people, that's when something in her kind of twitches, and she's like, no, I've worked too hard. I've given too much of myself and my life for this relationship, for this lifestyle, and no one's gonna take it from me. No one's going to ruin what I've got going for myself and for my family. Just to sum it up in a few words, I don't want to give you guys too much, because I would actually love to film the short film that I originally wrote, that 10 pages or something along those lines, to kind of act as a trailer to put out and tease a little bit for the actual movie. I know and I understand that selling scripts and doing like film festivals and things like that, it's a long process, just like with novel writing. So crossing my fingers that I will be finished with this film by the end of the year. I feel like a lot of the scenes that I have to write have already kind of written themselves in my mind. So I know what's happening. It's just a matter of actually writing it. I don't want this to be like another Lifetime story. It's like, oh my gosh, my husband's cheating on me, I'm gonna go kill her or whatever. Like, that's not what this is. This is a story, like I kind of gave you guys a spiel of it earlier, but the truth of the matter, this woman has, in a different way of saying, been raised to live a life that is not her own. Everything she's been brought up to do has been for the betterment of other people. In the one time she had something that was hers and that she chose for herself and she nurtured and she just was so passionate about, and she gave it up to be a wife now she's seen that all of her efforts have been in vain because her husband has wandering eyes. It's hard. It's hard for her to understand how someone who was supposed to love her and she's given up everything for and devoted her life to him could easily toss her aside and treat her as if she was expendable when she knows her worth. That's what I want this story to be able to embody. Before any naysayers about, oh, this is just her getting revenge on him cheating, she's just bitter. No. Because Miss Girl's never been bitter. If you want to be in the room where it happens and play the games, you've got to be able to deal with the cards you've been dealt. And if you can't be man enough, woman enough to deal with the consequences of your actions, then you have no say in what a person does and how a person reacts to you doing them wrong. With that being said, I'm super excited about my process and where I'm at right now with my screenplay, and I'll be excited to share more updates as they come. Next up is my poetry book. I've been writing poems really since I was a kid, since I first kind of understood what a poem was. I don't believe I started actually reading poetry books until my teenage years, when I was really just trying to explore more of what poetry was and the different forms of it and how different people write them. I started working on formatting and the book cover and everything for this book in January. Since then, I've been taking all of the poems that I wanted to include onto my computer. I normally like to handwrite my poems, but there have been times when either it was late at night or I was out and I couldn't actually physically write it, so I would just type it in my notes app. So just being able to transfer, however I wrote it, transfer it into the document and format it correctly. All these poems are from the past 5 years of my life. So from 2020 to now 2025. And it's just a big collection of everything I've gone through during that time. Just all of the love, the pain, and the self journey that I've been on. I wanted to be able to share my truth and my heart with you guys. I will say that a lot of these poems might be hard to read. I did not sugarcoat anything. I didn't gloss over what I was feeling in the moment of why ever I wrote it. I told the truth and I said it the way I said it. And I don't plan on changing it. It's really in its final stages of being done. I've got the book cover made and everything. It just needs to be tweaked a little bit and then I'll be ready to publish it, period. So I'm not going to remove anything that might ruffle some feathers or make people look at me in a different way, because poetry has always been my safety net when I needed to say words that I couldn't verbally say out of my mouth. I was always able to say it on paper, in my notes. So I'm not gonna silence myself just so other people will be comfortable, because I allowed those people, and some of these, I don't mind saying it, are about people that I've experienced, that have been in my life for whatever reason, whether that was good or bad. You're in this poetry book, babe. So I allowed those people, at least who did wrong on me, to be comfortable. I didn't say the things that I wish now that I had said to them and been able to like just express how they made me feel and what they really did to me, because ultimately, of course, they didn't care. They wanted what they wanted and it didn't matter what I was left with. It was just about them. I allowed them that piece. And that's not to say that me coming out with this is like messing up their life. I don't name drop anybody in this book or anything like that. It's just, now my words are forever. I think that's what I want to get across, is that words are always going to be there. You can't take words back. I believe this book will show the truest sides of me, the pretty, the ugly, the sad, the happy, just all of me the way God created me. I'm choosing to be completely vulnerable, and I will be completely honest right now in saying that I don't care what people may think of me by the end. If it may bother some folks that there are a few cuss words and things like that, or how I might have phrased things, because I've already healed from those experiences. So I'm not going to let somebody judge me or try and view me differently and almost perceive me as a different person than they've known me, because I've always been Kayla. I've always been Kayla Sierra. From day one, the day I was born, into now. Just because you don't know what a person is going through behind closed doors, and you don't know much of their life outside of what you've been shown, doesn't give you the right to look at them and say, you're not the person I thought you were. This is just something that I think applies to anybody who is a creative and has a way of expressing themselves through a form of art or anything like that. And you choose the moment, a moment, to show a different side of yourself that no one's ever really seen, and you've kind of kept private with yourself. Maybe you've talked about it with close friends, and all of a sudden it's just kind of like, oh, well, I can't believe you put something out like that. Like, why would you say that? Like, you didn't think to rewrite this? No. Something I've always promised to myself with any form of writing is to write what I want to write and to be truthful to the story in how God gave it to me and how it was formed and how I see it in my head. I can't make everybody happy, and I never will, and I don't want to. That's a lot of pressure. I know what it's like being a people pleaser. It is exhausting. It's not healthy to constantly be worried about other people and other people's needs and what they want and the way they see you, and how you have to keep up your appearance for them and everything, because then you lose sight of yourself and what you were put on this earth to do with your life, my life. Because we spend so much time trying to make everybody else happy, and then what are we left with? Not much. I'm pretty sure I want to do it as a physical book and also an ebook. We're still up in the air about that, but I'm pretty sure I have my heart set on a physical book. So you guys will be getting an update about that before the month is over. So if you're not following me on Instagram, go ahead and do that right now so you can be able to see when my poetry book will be out for sale. Last but certainly not least is my romance novel. The original story for this book happened when I was in the 8th grade. I don't remember what the assignment was or why I came up with this, but here is actually what I wrote the original story on. Excuse the noise. This is the sheet of paper, 8th grade. At least if you can see the pencil, that's what I've written just over the years on it. But all of the colorful stuff, that was what I wrote in the 8th grade. And since then, it has just grown into something that I couldn't have imagined that it was going to be. And I'm going to preface that by saying this book originally was supposed to be in the 1920s, just because I really love that era. So that's the timeline. It was like 1920s. I had, of course, created birthdays for everybody and their ages, and was able to create like my Pinterest board for it. It was the 1920s until maybe last year, when I switched it to modern times. And by that point, I had already written maybe 10, 11 chapters. No, hold on. I have to go look at my records, but I've written 13 chapters, all of which were set within that 1920s era and everything. So now that I have completely changed the course of the story and switched it to now being in modern times, and had to build more of like what these characters are living through and what their careers are. It's been a lot, and it's definitely pushed me back in where I expected to be. At least at this point, I probably would have seen myself doing my second draft now, since honestly, during 2022, I believe it was, that's when a majority of these chapters were written, because I went through a period where I wasn't like working a normal job. What I was doing was remote, so I was able to be home every day and just write, and that's all I did. So since then, and you know, being in school and now being home, graduated, and working multiple jobs right now, it's been hard to find time to sit and write how I used to. It's usually just in like pieces. I've been able to get a couple paragraphs in here, or kind of flesh out a scene in a later chapter here and there. But sitting down and just spending a day writing doesn't come as easily as it used to, but I am working on it. I'm definitely devoting more time into this story because it really means a lot to me. As you guys know, I am a really big reader of romance books, but what I want from my book is to be really different than the books that I have read. I'll start off by saying this will not be a spicy book. There will be no smut in this book. I have talked about this with some of my friends and other people who have asked me, because some of the books I have read do have those sorts of scenes and stuff in them. So when people have asked me, oh, like, do you see yourself writing that stuff, or do you want to do that? My answer has always been no. Because truth be told, knowing myself, I wouldn't be able to take myself seriously when writing those sorts of scenes. And no. But I just don't ever see myself doing that. It wouldn't be good, I don't think. It would, if someone would be like, oh, like, try your hand at it. No. This novel is about two people who come from very different backgrounds. And when they come together, they are able to see that there's more to life than what they've been shown in their family situation. Both have kind of accepted their life and how they're living, and while yearning for more, have almost given up on that dream of finding love and getting out of the circumstances that they're in. So when they meet, it's not necessarily love at first sight, but it's definitely that feeling of, is this what hope is? It follows them and their romance, working out how they come from these two different lifestyles and being together, knowing that their time really isn't forever. Both of them, while wanting to be together and of course falling in love with each other, almost kind of see the expiration date over the other's head for different reasons. Like the guy sees it over the girl based on her life and the way she lives and her parents and everything like that, and the girl sees it over the guys because the way she wants to live, and she believes that she can't be that person for him despite wanting to. She doesn't see it in herself. Right now, I'm still rewriting chapter 1. It's a lot longer than the original chapter 1 was, so it's taken me a bit longer to fully get all the details in there. And I've also rewritten it. There's so many chapter 1 rewrites. Between chapter 1 and chapter 2, the amount of rewrites that I have for it is crazy. Since having it in the 1920s and then changing up the scene and what they were doing, what they were talking about, and then now doing it in modern times, so having to basically flush out everything of what they were originally doing and now bring it into these new scenes, and how my main female and male character meet. But I digress. Chapter 1 is going pretty well. I'm almost done with it, so I'll be able to rewrite chapter 2 pretty quickly, I feel like. I always feel like when I talk about anything that I'm working on, it sounds immensely complicated because the way that I view it and the way that it's been shown to me is in picture, And I spend so much time fantasizing, dreaming, and just working out the kinks in my head. So then sometimes when it comes to writing, or when it comes to talking about it with people, just like how I am with you guys, or maybe like face to face, it comes out a little mumble jumble, like I don't know what I'm talking about. And I promise you guys I do. I really do. Just like with my screenplay, I do have a name for my novel, but I'm not going to share it. Also similar to my screenplay, I am hoping to be done with my first draft by the end of the year. And you guys might be thinking like, Kayla, you're only still rewriting chapter 1 and it's March. Don't do that. Don't do me. With that being said, in those 13 chapters, it's not chapter 1 to 13. I'm off the top of my head, I believe it's chapter 1 to chapter 8, chapter 11 or 12, chapter 19, and then 26 and 27. That sounds really weird. It's easier for me to write different chapters at different points of the story, because then when I go back, or if I have to go forward, just like with writing, I believe it's my chapter 19. Knowing everything that happens within that chapter helps me in the past in writing how these characters are interacting with each other and the decisions that they're making, because then of course it all makes sense by that chapter. That's what writing kind of is. You don't always write it in chronological order. It's a lot of writing scenes for different chapters and all over the place, because some scenes that you may do for chapter 10 work better in chapter 26. Same thing with a scene, in chapter 30 is better in chapter 5. That's kind of how I write best. So I might be writing chapter 1 right now, but best believe I have scenes for majority of the chapters written and how it's supposed to go. I have outlines for all the chapters. I know what happens in every single chapter. So definitely I want to be able to give you guys so many more updates about this in the future. Writing is a lot on the mind and it can be physically exhausting as well, but I am taking it step by step. I know now to not overexert myself and to take breaks and write when the things come to me. You cannot force yourself to be creative. It comes in a natural flow when it wants to, and sometimes it doesn't want to. It comes in different forms, which is why I have all these different projects kind of floating around right now, but they are all in progress. Not one isn't getting more attention than the other, and I'm super excited to continue giving you guys updates about all of these. Just like that, we are at the end of today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do plan on giving more of these updates more often, whether that might be on this channel or most likely will be on my Instagram. So once again, if you are not following me on Instagram, go ahead and do that right now. Make sure you guys are hitting that post notifications button so you guys know exactly when my videos are uploaded. And like always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel and share this with all your friends. I've been Kayla Sierra and I will see you in the next video. Bye!